Come in.
Well, at least this seems to be kind of clean.
I beg your pardon?
Just as I suspected. A cobweb.
No, really, I don't see.
Oh, keep your seat. You're new here.
This is my third year here. I'm Mr. North. I'm the...
Yes, I know. You're Mr. North, the science teacher. Sit down. Just sit down. You know, I used to be a student here at Hillside High School myself. But really, Mr. North, don't you think you're overdoing this modern education bit?
I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
Classes in a basement? I mean, after all, what's wrong with the classrooms?
Well, you know, our building is under renovation. I can't very well conduct experiments in a modular. But just who are you anyway? What's your business here at Hillside High School? And do we even have a visitor's pass?
You really should do something about that cobweb.
If you don't mind.
Oh, all right. Here's my visitor's pass. I thought you'd know me. Everybody should, or they soon will. I'm Stella Cook, reporter for the Trumpet.
The Trumpet? Why would the daily newspaper send a reporter here to Hillside High School?
That's what I'd like to know, Buster. Something about one of those experiments that your science class is supposed to be conducting. As if a high school science class could do anything important enough to send a reporter out for. But my editor gets these quirks at times. He shouldn't have sent me, though. I have my own byline.
And I have my 10th grade science class. For your information, Miss Cook.
You may call me Stella, Buster. Classes in the basement, cobwebs, good grief.
As I was about to say, Stella, our 10th grade science class is in the middle of a project that will prove a great scientific achievement that will add to the world's knowledge of the past and open to investigation the chronicles of mankind before even the dawn of history.
Uh-huh, and I'm the President of the United States.
I'm sure you must have heard of one of our students, Evelyn Fiona McRae.
Who hasn't? She's the girl genius who's supposed to go directly from high school to college last year. But her parents wouldn't let her, so she's back here this semester.
Well, Evelyn has invented a time machine. And this is it.
Oh, come on now. Let's not be... A time machine?
Yes, the occupants of this device can travel either forward or backwards through time.
Look, Mr. North, I can take a joke as well as the next one. Big-hearted Stella Cook, always full of fun and all that stuff. But I have a job to do. You've had your little laugh. Now give me the real story. What's your experiment, if you've got one?
Okay, I'll show you. Set this stop for any year, past or future. Hold this lever, and in a minute or so, you're in that year. Ah, here's the class now. Good morning. And Mr. and Mrs. Hall.
Gung-ho! Damn the torpedoes! Full speed ahead!
No, Mr. Hall. We are not voyaging by means of watercraft. Our ultimate destination is to be reached by the time machine I invented.
Gung-ho! Better watch out for those minute hands!
Oh, he's so excited to have something to explore again.
Quiet, everyone. As you all know, we're about ready to begin our experiment. But there's a reporter here, and she wants a story.
Sure. I'm going to put all of you on the front page. Get out a big extra. What I'm really going to do is report the whole thing to the school board. This is supposed to be a school, not some sort of sideshow. Wait a minute. What are Mr. and Mrs. Hall doing here? Everybody knows they're the greatest team of explorers this century.
After Evelyn here invented this time machine, the class decided it might be a good idea to go back to 1 million BC, find a friendly cave girl, teach her English, and bring her back to the 20th century. That way we can study her reactions to modern civilization. And that, incidentally, is our experiment.
Cave girl? Time machine? Please. Okay, everybody. This whole thing has gone far enough. I want the real story, and I want it now.
You'll see, Mr. and Mrs. Hall have agreed to lead our expedition. They and Evelyn and Chloe and I are going back 1,000,000 years in time. Now laugh about that.
Yeah, laugh about that.
I am. This class should go on television, it's so funny.
News reporter or not, ma'am, your jocundity is not only a vexation to this entire assemblage, but your ruckusness is indicative of sub-mammalian intellect.
Well, do you allow that kind of language in your classroom? I mean, what did she say anyway?
You really want to know?
I most certainly do.
Evelyn asked that you please be quiet.
Oh,
However, since you represent the daily newspaper, if you care to stay and watch, you're welcome to await the conclusion of our venture.
well, I don't know. 1,000,000 years? I've got a deadline to meet. Today?
The interval of time transpiring here at the point of embarkation is related in no manner to the time span of our journey.
I hope she isn't planning on teaching a cave girl that kind of English. Okay, I'll watch for a minute. The trumpet is always short of good jokes, and this will be the biggest one of the year.
The time machine will begin its journey to the past in a few minutes, at exactly 3:10 p.m. When our travelers decide to come back, and it doesn't matter how long they stay in 1,000,000 BC, all they have to do is set the dial for 3:20 p.m. of this year and date. They should only be gone from our presence for about 10 minutes, although they should actually stay 3 months in 1,000,000 BC.
All right, I'll tag along with the gag, Mr. North. So why the 10 minutes? Why don't they set their dial at the exact same time that they leave? That way, we wouldn't have to wait at all.
They might bump into themselves.
Boy, this gets goofier and goofier. Who ever heard of somebody bumping into himself?
If a person is going back in time at the same moment they're coming forward in time, there's bound to be a collision.
When the parents in this town read what I'm going to write about the crazy goings on in this basement.
The time traversing conveyance is an untrumperatus, Mr. North.
Thank you, Evelyn. All right, everybody, the time machine is ready. We'll make a final check of our provisions.
I'm afraid, please don't make me go.
Chloe, what's the matter?
I've changed my mind, Mr. North. I don't want to go back to 1,000,000 BC.
Come on, Chloe, you can't back out now. Yeah, we signed up for this together, remember?
Chloe, you volunteered, and your parents gave their permission.
Well, I only did it because it made Mother so proud of me. And she said I wouldn't have to wash dishes for a whole month. I hate washing dishes, hate it. I'd do anything to get out washing dishes for a month.
Come on, Chloe, take a look at the whole picture. Don't you know that if you don't go, your mom's just going to hand you an apron and send you back to the old sinkaroo?
Wendy's right, Chloe, and we're counting on you. The whole class. The world is counting on you. Think of it. We're bringing a cave girl 1,000,000 years through time, here into the stresses and strains of our modern civilization.
Yes, a cave girl from the species Australopithecus, from the Pleistocene geologic period.
Oh, Evelyn, you make it sound all so exciting, but I still can't go. I'm afraid.
There's nothing to be afraid of. Mr. Hall is taking his elephant rifle and plenty of ammunition. That can stop any dinosaur or other prehistoric beast, can't it, Mr. Hall?
Gung-ho! Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes!
And you know we sent an expedition party back 2 weeks ago. There were no dangerous animals anywhere in the vicinity of where you'll be, and the cave people are very friendly.
That's not what I'm afraid of.
Then what?
Poison ivy.
Oh.
I'm ready to take your place, Mr. North.
All right, Peggy. You were put down as first alternate, so you get to go in Chloe's place. Is your remote control apparatus in working order, Evelyn?
Yes, I tested it thoroughly this morning, Mr. North. It functions perfectly.
Expedition party into the time machine. Mr. Hall, good. Mrs. Hall, good luck. Are you ready?
This I've got to see. This thing flying through time? Impossible.
Stand back. Now.
I knew it wouldn't work. I knew it was all a fake.
I don't understand what you mean.
You're still trying to play your little games with me, aren't you? Well, I can see, can't I? This thing you refer to as a time machine hasn't gone to any 1 million BC. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still here.
That's right, Stella. The time machine doesn't go anywhere. It's what's inside that travels through time.
Heidi, Heidi, ho. If the time machine stays here, how do they come back? Answer me that, if you can.
They come back through the use of Evelyn's remote control apparatus. You saw it in the leather case. Believe me, Stella, they're in 1 million BC right now.
We'll see about that, Buster. Well, I'll be. Maybe this thing really does work.
Mr. North, I want to talk to you about a very serious matter.
Why, yes, ma'am, Mrs. White. Won't you have a seat?
No, I won't have a seat. All day I've had a seat, but now I don't want a seat. When I want a seat, I'll take a seat. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, ma'am. You don't want a seat.
I thought I told you I didn't want a seat. I've been principal of this school for 10 years, Mr. North, and in all that time, nothing has happened like what has been happening this past week. And it's all your fault.
My fault?
Entirely your fault. Yours and that 10th grade science class of yours. The science projects are one thing, but this is out of control. Why I ever considered to that silly time machine experiment of yours, I'll never know. I must have been out of my mind.
But Mrs. White.
Don't butt me, Mr. North. You know what I'm talking about. Ever since you brought that cave girl, what's her name again?
Oggaline?
Yes, that's it. Strange name, Oggaline, even for a cave girl. And I still think she should have a last name.
Well, they didn't have last names in 1 million BC, Mrs. White.
Well, that's beside the point. Perhaps you aren't aware of all that's been happening this past week since Oggaline has been attending classes.
Well, I know some of it, but I guess I'm gonna get to see all of it.
Monday morning, Oggaline started throwing stones at all the cars and school buses as they drove up. She tried to get the other students to join her, making an attack on the buses. And she ran up to my car, Mr. North, and started hitting it with a dead tree limb. Frightened my husband out of his wits.
Oggaline had never seen an automobile or a bus before, Mrs. White. She thought they were monsters attacking the school. She was only trying to protect us.
Some protection. And of all the cars that drove up to this school, why did it have to be my car? My brand new car that some wild-eyed cave girl dressed in animal skins started hitting with a dead tree limb.
Well, your car was the biggest and the shiniest. She thought it was leading the attack.
Huh. And what about the ice cream? It was served for dessert in the school cafeteria. Oggaline decided to save hers for later. She wrapped it in a napkin and took it to class with her.
Yes, I know. It melted.
Of course it melted. But when Oggaline opened up her napkin and found her ice cream gone, she thought somebody had stolen it from her. The whole class started laughing. You could hear them all over the school.
Well, she knows about ice cream now.
And what about the frogs and lizards that Miss Tuttle had for her biology class? Huh? What about that?
Well, Oggaline ate them.
That's only the half of it. She brought a raw lizard to my office and gave it to me for dessert.
How did it taste?
This is no time for jokes, Mr. North. No time at all. You know perfectly well I wouldn't eat a raw lizard, especially when it hadn't even been cleaned. I threw it out the window.
We've made it clear to Oggaline that she's to eat nothing here at school unless it's served in the cafeteria. And even then.
I've never been one to stand in the way of knowledge, but I'm afraid your experiment isn't working out. Besides, we've had complaints from outside the school.
Complaints? About Oggaline? Who, if I may ask, is making these complaints?
Stella Cook from the Trumpet called me just this morning. Said that if Oggaline remained any longer, she'd be forced to write a feature article about how our students are being corrupted by a savage.
Stella Cook. It's just sour grapes, Mrs. White. Miss Cook is just angry because our experiment proved to be so successful.
Well, be that as it may, Stella Cook or nobody else is influencing my decision. I want you to realize that. But I'm going to have to insist that you send Oggaline back where she came from.
But Mrs. White, scientists from all across the world are preparing to come here to Hillside High School to study Oggaline and her reactions to modern civilization.
I'm aware, of course, that all of this is an important scientific experiment, and we are here to learn and to advance knowledge. Tell you what, Mr. North, I'll put Oggaline on probation. If there are no more incidents, she can stay. Otherwise, it's back to prehistoric times with her. When I think how she set fire to the school...
Well, it wasn't Oggaline's fault, really.
She did it, didn't she?
Well, yes. When Oggaline was given 2 pencils and some notebook paper, she assumed we wanted her to build a fire. It was a rather cool day, and as usual, the heat in the building wasn't working. So she shredded up the paper and rubbed the pencils together until...
I know all about it. Just see that it doesn't happen again.
Yes, ma'am. What happened?
Is that all you can say? What happened? I'll tell you what happened. That cave girl, that Oggaline, knocked me down the steps.
Oggaline, this is serious. What are you doing?
Oggaline, please relate to Mr. North what transpired. Huh? Tell him what happened.
Me read from book. Me like to read. No see Mrs. White. Me sorry.
She's sorry. I'm the one who fell down the steps.
Mrs. White read too. Her read from notebook. Her no see Oggaline. Oggaline no see her. We go bump.
Well, she's right about that. I was looking at my notebook. So I suppose I am partly to blame. But Mr. North, don't forget what I told you. Probation.
Mr. North, it is with unalloyed gratification that I enlighten you with Oggaline's current educational progression. It is a little short of astounding.
Her Evelyn. Her funny. Talk all time big words. What she mean?
I sometimes wonder myself, Oggaline. But what she means now is that you're doing all right.
She has advanced to the 2nd grade reader, a salient achievement for primitive intellect.
Me like Dick and Jane. Me like Spot. Him one nice dog.
Well, I hear you've been having all kinds of trouble with the missing link here.
She is not the missing link.
She's a human being just like anybody else.
She's an ignorant, untutored savage. That's what she is. And she doesn't belong in a civilized society.
I'm sorry to dispute you, ma'am, but your statement, it appears to me, is tainted with gross exaggeration.
One of these days, you're going to say just a little too much to me, young lady.
Enough of that, Stella. Now what is it that you want?
The trumpet sent me over to get a story on Jungle Jane here. I understand she's a real wild girl of Borneo. That she eats raw meat and won't let a car near the school.
Everything was new to her at first, but now she's adjusted just fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Adjusted? Look at the way she's dressed in those animal skins. It's disgusting. Why isn't she dressed like everyone else?
In her tribe, it's taboo to wear anything except animal skins and fur.
Yeah. Oggaline is a visitor to our school, like maybe an exchange student from India or some other country. If she wants to wear her native clothes, why should we have a problem with that?
At least she could get her hair cut and styled. Look at her, all the way down her back.
All the girls from Vermilion, BC wear their hair long.
And we think it's cute.
Yeah, we think it's cute.
Not only that, but in Oggaline's culture, it's a disgrace to lose your hair. If she were to go back to Vermilion, BC with short hair, she'd be banished from the tribe. She'd be sent into the mountains alone without food or weapons until her hair grew back.
Sent to the mountains, huh?
Yes, and most of the time they don't survive. The mountain country's just too harsh, especially for a girl.
Hey, Jane,
You call to Oggaline?
I'm going to give you a write-up in the paper. Special orders of my editor.
Write up? Paper? Editor? What you mean?
Just how ignorant can you be? Sit back down, Jungle Girl. If I can get my language down to your level, I'm going to interview you.
Interview? Me no believe.
What do you mean, you no believe? You no believe what?
Enter mean go inside. View mean see. Interview. Me no believe you can see inside Oggaline.
What I have to do to put up with a lousy story around here. Interview? See inside her? How did I ever get roped into this assignment anyhow?
To interview Oggaline means to talk with you, ask you questions.
Oh, me see. But what she mean write up in paper?
After she interviews you, she's going to write a story about you.
Story? About Oggaline? Like about Dick and Jane and Spot in book here?
Yes, Oggaline, that's the idea.
Me be like Jane in book. Watch. This Oggaline. See Oggaline run.
No.
Oh, Dick, see
Stop her.
Oggaline run. Run, Oggaline, run.
Stop her, somebody! Stop her!
No, Oggaline, no. Not that category of narrative. Miss Cook is desirous of implying you as a subject of a news story.
But me want to be like Jane in story. Me want to run.
All right, sit still for a minute, and maybe I'll have you run in the story.
How you make Oggaline run if Oggaline sit?
I tell you, I can only stand so much of this.
Perhaps if Oggaline first showed you how she's learned to read.
Read? A wild barbarian can read?
You'll see, and she's only been studying for a few weeks.
Oh, Dick, said Jane, see the rabbit. Dick saw the rabbit. Jane saw the rabbit. The rabbit did not see Dick. The rabbit did not see Jane. See the rabbit eat, said Dick. See the rabbit eat grass. The rabbit saw Dick. The rabbit saw Jane. The rabbit went away. The rabbit went hop, hop, hop. What that mean? Hop, hop, hop. What that mean?
Anyone should know that. It means that the rabbit got scared and hopped away.
That mean him run?
No, not run. To hop. Well, it means to jump.
Oh, me get. Him smart rabbit. Him jump away from Dick and Jane. Not get eat. Him jump quick. Like this.
No. That isn't a hop. Surely not a hop, hop, hop. A hop, hop, hop is something more like this.
Hardly the hop of a rabbit, Mr. North. It should be more accurately simulated by a more oblique motion of the patella.
No. You're both wrong. This is the way you hop.
No, a rabbit isn't so clumsy. A rabbit's very dainty like this.
Sandra's right.
Come on, Chloe.
Yeah, what? Well, I never saw a two-legged rabbit in my life. Did you, Rachel?
By that, I never been out in the sun too long.
Oh, me see. Rabbits sure have fun.
Mr. North!
Come, Mrs. White. You hop, hop, hop with Oggaline. You be rabbit too.
I knew it. This cave girl, this experiment of yours is turning the whole student body into a bunch of wild animals. Even the teachers. Mr. North, I'm surprised at you.
We were just showing Oggaline how to hop.
Well, for goodness sakes, show her how to stop before she shakes down the building.
Okay, Oggaline, you can stop now.
I warned you. I put this cave girl of yours on probation, and already.
But Mrs. White...
Let's step outside for a moment, Mr. North. I want to speak with you. In private.
Yes, ma'am.
What was that all about?
I'll tell you what it's all about. This sweet, cute little ape girl here is being sent back to Million BC. And if you want my opinion, that's the only place for the dear little ragamuffin.
You may find it prudent to make a more circumspect cognizance of your own pursuits. And if you don't know what I mean, I'll tell you. Mind your own darn business.
Well, aren't you the respectful one, talking to your elders in that tone of voice? But I know where it came from. It came from your association with this savage cave girl. It happens every time. Mixed people who have different backgrounds, different cultures, and you always have trouble. Listen to me, all of you, and pay attention. I don't want to have any around who is different. I don't want them around. It's not safe, and I just can't tolerate this.
Miss Cook, I think you're afraid. You're afraid to meet, to know, to understand dissimilar peoples.
Listen, young lady, I'll show you who's afraid. What you need is a little dose of old-fashioned discipline.
What's the meaning of this? What's going on here?
I warned you. Now you see what I meant. This wild ape girl attacked me. She was trying to kill me.
No, she wasn't, Mrs. White.
That's right, she wasn't.
She was only trying to protect Evelyn.
Evelyn, what do you have to say about this?
Cassandra is accurate, ma'am, when she asserts that Oggaline was not at fault.
Stella, we'll discuss the matter later. Now, students, Mr. North has convinced me of the importance of your experiment with Oggaline. But I'm afraid that she needs another 6 months or so of instruction before she can continue in our school. She needs to learn our language better, along with some of our modern etiquette, especially table manners and such. Could you go back to Million BC with her, Evelyn, and spend 6 months helping her, then bring her back?
Most assuredly, Mrs. White, and thank you for your understanding.
I'm not one to stand in the way of scientific progress. No, ma'am. When could you and Oggaline be ready to leave, Evelyn?
At once. On our previous visit, we left both food and clothing in Oggaline's cave, and I know her family will welcome us. The remote control apparatus is in perfect working condition.
Is this all right with you, Oggaline?
Me do what friend Evelyn say.
Fine. Mr. North has explained that even though you spend 6 months in a Million BC, you'll actually be gone from here for only a few minutes.
Precisely.
I never will understand how that time machine works, but you do a good job with Oggaline. Teach her to talk like you do.
Just a minute. I want to go too. I want to see a Million BC for myself. I still think this whole thing is some sort of hoax. I want proof that this experiment is strictly on the up and up.
What do you think, Mr. North?
I can see no problem with it. That is, if Evelyn and Oggaline don't mind.
No recalcitrance on my part, sir. In fact, I am delighted. I think it'll do Miss Stella Cook a world of good to see how other people live.
Okay with Oggaline. Maybe Miss Cook write that story about how Oggaline hop, hop, hop.
Is it really true what you said about Oggaline losing her hair? That she'd be banished to the mountains and we might never see her again?
Yes, it is. Why?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Let's get going.
Don't be nervous, Mr. North. Be sure the dials are set properly.
Yes, ma'am. There. They are now in 1 million BC. In a few minutes, they should be on their way back.
I do hope it works out as we planned.
Oggaline is very smart, quite intelligent. I'm sure Evelyn will be able to teach her everything she needs to know.
But I'm worried, Mr. North. Look, the scissors are gone.
Miss Cook must have taken them.
Why would she take a pair of scissors?
Don't you remember how she was asking about Oggaline's hair? Oh, I know something terrible is going to happen to Oggaline.
I bet Mrs. Cook is going to cut off her hair and get her banished to the mountains.
What's all the fuss about? It might not be such a bad idea for Oggaline to have a haircut. That hair of hers might start a fad around the school. I'd certainly hate to think of all the girls looking like Oggaline.
You don't understand, Mrs. White. In Oggaline's culture, it's a tribal taboo to lose your hair. A disgrace. All of the capable of her short hair are sent to the mountains without food, water, or weapons.
It's the same as a death sentence.
Yeah, or worse. Does Stella know this?
I told her myself.
Surely she wouldn't. No, you must be mistaken. Stella wouldn't do a thing like that, would she?
She hated Oggaline.
Isn't there anything we can do?
Nothing. We'll just have to wait.
Poor Oggaline in the mountains alone.
Do you think she'll be okay?
Well, she can run fast.
And she can hop.
Actually, she can hop, hop, hop even.
But She'd be no match for a saber-toothed tiger.
I knew it. I knew it. I told you right from the beginning, Mr. North, that this time machine would get out of hand. You shouldn't have let Oggaline go back.
But Mrs. White, it was your idea.
Huh. Nobody said a word to me about short hair and mountains and all that. I'm warning you if...
Look, they're on their way back.
Do you think Oggaline will be with them?
I sure hope so. Evelyn, did Stella?
I'll let you see for yourselves.
Stella, where's Oggaline?
It was wonderful. Such a marvelous world it is back in a million BC. What stories I have to write for the trumpet.
I asked you where Oggaline is.
Just think, my byline will go out over the wire services. I'll be read all over the world. I'm even going to write a book.
That's fine, Stella, but if anything has happened to Oggaline...
Oh, you want Oggaline? Come on out, Oggaline.
This my friend Stella, my best friend.
Your friend? But we thought... Stella, are you okay? What in the world happened back in a million BC?
Listen, they don't put anything over on Stella Cook. Star reporter, that's me. And if my editor thinks a cave girl makes news copy, he hasn't seen anything yet. I brought back the greatest story of the century. Everybody meet Oggaline's family. Her mother, her father, brother, and sister. Get out! Just kick it. Miss White, come on. Oggaline?